The cracking. It's a cold December morning in Manhattan, 2011. Suzanne Hart, a 41-year-old advertising executive working at Y&R, one of the biggest firms in the city. She had done this routine 1,000 times before. Coat on, bag over her shoulder, she grabbed her coffee.
Thank you.
The lobby smells faintly of polished marble and winter coats, damp from the outside air. She crossed the lobby, heels clicking against the floor, heading for the bank of elevators that carry her up. She stepped toward the open doors of elevator car number 9. 2 co-workers are behind her, ready to ride along. The car hasn't fully settled. Maintenance work was supposedly being done earlier that morning, but she doesn't know that. There's no sign and no warning. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And suddenly, the doors close too quickly, clamping around her shoulders. In an instant, the elevator shoots upward without stopping. Her co-workers see it happen. Her body trapped between the rising car and the still floor of the lobby. The machine doesn't hesitate. They scream and they pound on buttons. Well, buttons didn't work. The car surges up, dragging her violently, pinning her between the floor and the unstoppable force of the lift. The elevator car is so powerful that it makes the sound of her bones breaking and her ribs crack. While she's stuck in the elevator is not stopping, and it's continuing to lift. Her co-workers are shocked. This just happened in only 5 seconds. And I'm happy to be here to tell the story in a simple way, so you don't have to watch the real footage of these incidents. The crushing. In 2010, on an ordinary day in Chicago, Karen Smith stepped into an elevator. The elevator Karen entered had gone unnoticed for months, with subtle problems hidden beneath its metal shell. The cables, the brakes, the very parts that were supposed to hold thousands of pounds steadily in the air. In fact, no technical inspection has been done on the elevator. Usually, the original company that installed the elevator should have sent an agent every 6 months to check if everything works okay. But it has been several months since that elevator has been serviced. At first, the movement felt normal, a quiet hum, the faint vibration of gears in motion. When Karen finally reached the 8th floor, a man with a gun shot her 6 times, causing her to fall into the elevator, which caught fire and exploded. Well, I was joking. Actually, Karen got on the elevator and pressed the floor button to go up. As the elevator went up a little, there was a sound. It was very loud.
Wow. Is that normal?
Then the cabin with 5 tons of weight fall. I personally researched and found out that every modern elevator is equipped with an emergency braking system. If the elevator starts falling too fast, a speed governor, basically a mechanical sensor, triggers safety clamps on the rails. These clamps are designed to grip the guide rails instantly, bringing the cab to a stop before it hits the bottom. It's the last line of defense against a free fall. But since no one has checked the emergency braking system in months, I suggest you consider this feature broken. So, let me introduce how painful this death was to Karen. The machinery fought against itself, creating a terrifying rhythm of free fall and sudden catches, each one throwing Karen against the walls of the small, enclosed space. Her body was no longer in sync with the floor beneath her feet. 1 second weightless, the next crushed by the brutal force of impact. When the elevator finally met the ground, the impact was catastrophic. The human body, delicate and fragile compared to steel, was never meant to endure such a collision. For Karen, the ride that began with a simple push of a button ended with a silence that filled the building. The headlines and magazines were full of Karen's death. The video of her death was recorded by a camera inside the elevator, but it was never made public. A few days later, the elevator company that was supposed to send the service technician was quickly blamed, and lawsuits were filed against them. It was later revealed that the company was fined, and the CEO of the company apologized to Karen Smith's family. The battery explosion. I don't know exactly what year this happened. A Chinese man enters an elevator with a large battery in his hand. Unlike the previous case, this one was filmed inside the elevator by a camera inside. No one knows exactly what kind of battery it was or what it was used for. But it seems that there was something wrong with the battery in this man's hand. This man gets on the elevator and wants to go up, when suddenly a lot of smoke comes out of the battery and the battery explodes. I must say that there is no ventilation, and the inside of the elevator car is a completely closed space. The building security quickly reached the nearest floor and somehow managed to get him out of the car. The Chinese man was melted, and his internal organs were completely visible while he was breathing. In fact, I found many of these cases while writing the script for this video, but the only one who was filmed was this gentleman. The Savior. A 30-year-old woman with her son in Jingzhou, Hubei province in China. It was a normal day shopping, people trying on clothes, vendors selling greasy food and chili. It was a perfectly normal day for this woman and her son, unless you want to consider the Final Destination series. Every time I thought everything seemed normal, I was sure something was going to happen. Escalators are like elevators. We take elevators to avoid stairs, but we take escalators to... never mind. When the name of this device comes up, what exactly can happen? As she stepped off the escalator, a metal floor panel at the very top collapsed beneath her feet. Instead of stepping safely onto solid ground, she suddenly plunged into the machinery underneath the escalator. In that split second, with remarkable strength, she managed to push her young son forward into the arms of nearby staff, saving his life. But before she could pull herself out, the powerful gears and moving parts of the escalator dragged her down. She was crushed and fatally trapped inside the mechanism, while horrified bystanders looked on, unable to help. The tragedy sparked nationwide outrage in China, raising urgent questions about escalator safety inspections and maintenance standards in shopping centers. Many saw Xiang's final act, saving her child despite her own impending death, as both heartbreaking and heroic. The Vaal Reefs incident. In May of 1995, after a hard shift, the miners had put down their gear and were about to take an industrial elevator to the surface to go home to their families. In case if you don't know the difference between a regular elevator and an industrial elevator, I must say that industrial elevators are very large and capable of carrying a capacity of about 100,000 pounds. Now that you know what the difference is, you might be wondering what could go wrong. A massive underground locomotive used to haul ore was being moved across a rail crossing, but something went terribly wrong. The locomotive derailed, broke through a barrier, and thundered straight. At that exact moment, a double-deck elevator cage filled with miners was on its way up. Over 100 men were packed tightly inside, exhausted after their shift, expecting nothing more than a return to the surface and fresh air. Instead, the locomotive plunged down the shaft and smashed directly into the ground. The impact was so violent that the safety devices designed to stop freefalls snapped instantly. The cage was ripped from its guide rails and plummeted nearly half a kilometer into the darkness below. There was no chance of survival. The elevator hit the bottom of the shaft with unimaginable force, killing all 104 miners inside on impact. When they found the bodies, some of the miners were alive, and those who had been clearing away the pieces of scrap iron and stone wrote in their accounts that what they saw made them vomit. So, if you use elevator daily, I don't want to traumatize you. The odds of these happening are 1 in a million.